All right, welcome everyone. Forum on Israel, Africa, and Black America. I'm Dumisani Washington, founder and CEO of the Institute for Black Solidarity with Israel. Glad to have you with us. On last week, if you're with us, you may remember me saying that we would have our executive director and one of our board members, Olga Mashwe Washington, my daughter-in-law, my son, Joshua Washington. They're both in South Africa right now, unable to join us. You're stuck with me again. Apologies. But not apologies on my part. I love being with you. I haven't been able to do it as much. The younger staff, part of the senior staff, has been kind of running the show. I've been behind the scenes and working on some other things, but had to kind of step up here the last couple of weeks. So glad to be with you. We're streaming on all of our platforms, with the exception of Clubhouse. We've paused on that for now. There's some tech stuff we need to kind of work out. But LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I'm missing one, I'm sure. IG. So those of you on IG, so I got my personal one up there. Hey, how you guys doing? Great to have you here. Also have the IBSI one on our fan page as well. So both of those are going. So it's great to be with you here. Thank you so much, all the supporters, whether you're donors, whether you're subscribers to our different efforts that are here. I want to say immediately right off the bat, and so I don't forget, even though I have some notes here, but there's some stuff that's in my brain too, just kind of works that way. We are at, as of a couple of minutes ago, 994 subscribers on our YouTube page. Now, quick thing about our YouTube page, IBSI started way back in 2013. There's a long story about that. I did that for about a year. I joined the staff of Christians United for Israel, was there for about nearly 7 years, returned to IBSI in June of 2021 full-time, to come back and kind of man here and work with the staff and all the stuff that was going on then. So the YouTube pages that we had one and we had to start another one several years ago. So we've been building that one back up. A lot of content on there. As of, again, a couple of minutes ago, it's at 994 subscribers. I just know that you guys can help us get to 1,000 plus before this forum is over on today, our forum on Israel, Africa, and Black America. So thank you in advance for that. Go to the YouTube page. You'll see the one that's mainly active, on the banner, it's our Peace Initiative, the Plan for Education, Advocacy, Community Engagement. Click on there, subscribe, like any of the videos that are there. There's a lot of content that's there. Our latest educational video is also on our website, IBSI.org, where everything else is as well. It's actually entitled Free Palestine from the PLO and Hamas. So you go to our website, you'll see that there as well. That video, if you click on it, will take you also to the YouTube page. So go ahead, please. I guess Miss Producer, Miss Maria, let me know. I don't know if you can see that at all. Someone let me know on the staff once we've crossed the 1,000 mark. That I appreciate that. Otherwise, I'll start clicking on here and getting in trouble there, right? Also, our Substack, which is Africa Israel Weekly. You can also get to that from IBSI.org as well, or you can go directly to the Substack, which is ibsi.substack.com. Africa Israel Weekly is where we have all of our content, both written, some video, and also the podcast, the JW Show, is on there. Say something about that in a second. We are well past 1,000. They're about 1,033. Thank you so much. It is both free and premium, so you can subscribe on the Substack for free and get much of the content, but some of the content is only for the paid subscribers, so you can support us. All of those subscriptions and all those things that you do help us at the Institute for Black Solidarity with Israel do the work that we do, strengthening the tie between the Black and Jewish communities in Africa and Israel as well. And so, again, we appreciate it. So past 1,000 on there. Again, thanks a lot for that. We appreciate you all. Couple of new things are coming up. The JW Show, the latest podcast, Joshua interviewed Dr. Brandy Shufutinsky, a brilliant educator, and also works with the, I don't want to say the wrong one, for Jewish Values, not Coalition for Jewish Values, or it's a different one. I don't want to, please forgive me, Brandy, for saying the wrong. I don't have that in front of me. That's why I get in trouble for doing this on the thing. Give me the graphic one more time there, Maria. You'll see it there. Great podcast, a great episode there. Joshua is interviewing Brandy. If you go to ibsi.substack.com, you'll see that as the first thing listed because it all goes in chronological order unless you change the order yourself on there. So he had a great interview with her. I think it was live in Philly when Joshua was up that way. And so that content, that is premium content. The podcast is. So if you want to check that one out, you have to become a paid subscriber. There's a lot of other things that are on there as well. Just check it out. Check out our different articles. I will be, my plan is to have another article up later on this week. There's different authors, different contributors that we have. And I don't want to get into what the content of that might be because we got other things we need to do tonight. But I maybe say a little bit about it before we get done here on today. All right. What's that? 5 more. Okay, 5 more. Oh, 5 more on YouTube. You mean we're 5 away? Okay, yeah. So we're at, thank you so much. Someone already subscribed to it. All right. So we are 5 away. 995. Hey, Miss Kristen. I see a name. I don't know how I even see that. I see her little thing. The Sugar Smacks 03 is what it is. Hi, sweetheart. How y'all doing? Love to the Lee family. So I'm sorry, I got a little distracted there. My folks out there in California. Yes, so we're at 995. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, everybody. We really do. So we're almost at 1,000. Looking forward to bumping that up more. Got some serious stuff to get into here. I just want to get some of the housekeeping things out of the way. We unfortunately, we did not make our $100,000 goal in February. We have a Black History Month fundraiser, and we attempt to raise $100K in 28, although it was 29 days. But we did raise a substantial amount, and we thank everybody for contributing. We really do. On top of that, we have quite a few new donors, right? So new subscribers to YouTube, new subscribers to the Substack, and also new donors. So thank you all so much, right? For whatever the amount is. We thank you. Some do it as their ministries, whether they're as pastors, some do it as their organizations, rabbis, that type of thing. We thank you guys so much. And we are a nonprofit, so all your gifts are tax deductible. We want you to consider becoming a legacy builder. Legacy builder is a monthly giver to IBSI at whatever amount you want, $40, $50, $100, $20, whatever amount works for your budget. Want you to partner with us in that way. We are building more and more our donors in that way. We really appreciate it. Go to IBSI.org. You can go to /donate. You can also, if you want to become a legacy builder, you'll see on the homepage to the left there in the yellow thing, it says become a legacy builder. Boom, click on that, choose whatever the amount is, and then partner with us monthly as a legacy builder with the Institute for Black Solidarity with Israel. And thank you so much. So I will keep you posted on our YouTube page. We're almost at 1,000. I know it's, for some that's a small number, but we had to redo our thing. We don't consider, the Bible says despise not the day of small beginnings. We had to re-begin, if you will, that page and everything, and it's almost at 1,000 views. So 1,000 subscribers, right? So there's clips from other forums that are on there and other information that's on there as well. It's interestingly, I think the one video with the largest number of views is actually, oh boy, I have extemporaneously again. It is one in which I have the honor of interviewing a gentleman who is of Indian Jewish descent and Israeli. I can't remember his name at this very moment. Charge it to my head, not my heart. But you'll see it on there if you scroll through the things at the Jerusalem Center for Public Affairs. And shout out to JCPA, our friends and partners out there, Dan Diker, Tirsa Shore, and all the rest of them there. Thank you for all the work that you do. All right. So lot of stuff to get into. I think that was the housekeeping things. 4 more. Okay, we're down 4 more. Yeah, so that we're at 996, right? So on our YouTube page, I have to take the numbers they're saying and flip it. So okay, so 996 is where we are. So we need just 4 more there on our page. So thank you guys so much. Thanks. I appreciate it. You all going to the YouTube page, right? Send it to your friends, right? We want to blow past that. I know we're going to reach that 1,000. We're going to pass that 1,000, and it helps us get the messages out more and more. The next new video that will be released will actually be the beginning of April, 1st or 2nd. And it's actually entitled, it's another educational video entitled Solomon and Makeda. It's actually the historical and both the biblical part and some of the other historical part too, about the first, what we call the first Africa-Israel summit, when the Queen of Sheba traveled all the way from Cush and visited Solomon in Jerusalem 3,000 years ago. That's how far back that Africa-Israel thing goes. So we did a video on that. It's featuring one of our IBSI ambassadors, Miss Kizzy Small. Shout out to Kizzy. I don't know if she's listening right now, but shout out to you, ma'am. Thank you so much. She's based in South Carolina. She came up to the studio here in North Carolina, our makeshift studio. We are putting together a studio, so hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I don't know the exact time, but we'll let you guys know about that. So the Solomon, the Makeda video will be out in a couple of weeks, so be looking for that, all right? So I want to do a couple of things. First of all, I want to talk for a moment about IBSI's, specifically our Black Pastors Outreach. Now, a couple things I want to do. The Institute for Black Solidarity with Israel does not exist to segregate people, to make Israel an ethnic issue, none of those things. And it's only in partially response to the onslaught against Black Americans and Africans where it comes to Israel. And I talk about that, I'm talking about now the disinformation, the type of thing that's directed. But I can tell you, and I mentioned this in my book, Zionism in the Black Church. You can get that on our website as well. Go to ibsi.org/store. The second edition was published in February of 2021. First wrote it back in 2013, 14, but we updated and everything, and it's available on Amazon, and it's available in all the other, what's that, Barnes and Noble, all those. It's also an audio book. It's in the digital. You can get for the e-reader and all that kind of stuff. So it is available in different platforms, different format. We just shipped one out, a couple of them out to the UK. You can order it from like there, but if you want us to come to where we are and sign it, do that way, you can order it from our website, ibsi.org. And in the book, especially in the introduction, try to explain that, especially as a pastor, as a community leader, there's not a divisive thing that we're attempting to do. We have to deal with divisive issues, right? But we try not to add to the divisiveness to actually do it, right? When you're talking about particularly the Black American story, that ethos, and it's a broad thing. I talk about that in the book as well. There's no one individual person who defines an ethnic group or a religion or any of those types of things, right? The people are different, right? However, there is an overarching story that is, among other things, so magnificent and powerful when you're talking about the millions of slaves brought through the transatlantic slave trade to the Americas. And the story in North America, particularly of slavery to freedom through Jim Crow, segregation, and eugenics, and these types of things used against our community. Shout out to Pastor Tim out there. I don't even it's small on there. It's a trip. So there's certain things I can't see, but I can see y'all just because y'all be busting like bam. You shout out Pastor Tim McMurtry out there in Milwaukee, although he be globetrotting, so he may not be in Milwaukee right now. That's where he's based. Much love to all of our friends. Hey, again, Pastor Skip, Pastor Melva, it was so great seeing you all. A couple of weeks ago, we were in Chicago. I mean, that was a long day for them. They came out there. We had an amazing celebration out there at the synagogue and everything. It was just a lot of music and everything like that. And I looked up in the balcony and I saw Pastor Tim and Pastor Skip and Pastor Melva out there. I was like, man, I know it was so great to see them. I know it was a long day for them. So great to see them. What's up, Pastor? We're trying to come out there and pay Milwaukee, Pastor. I'm trying to hook that up. So what was I saying? Yeah. There you go. So I'm sorry, I got distracted. So in the book, I talk about this. The reason I'm setting all that up with the Black pastor part is that as a Black pastor myself, right, in which this story is very personal to me, right? There are those personal things that are there, right? When it comes to the whole story about slavery to freedom and the Negro spirituals, I talk a lot about the Negro spirituals in the book, from Go Down Moses to Joshua Fit the Battle of Jericho, all the way up to what I call the granddaddy of all the Negro spirituals, Lift Every Voice and Sing, right? So again, about what those songs meant. What's like come through? See, what's up? Come through. Yes, I'm trying to come through, Pastor Tim. I'm trying to come through. So what those songs meant, what those stories meant, what it actually meant for us. And Zionism, a spiritual Zionism, is woven throughout all of those things, right? Whether it was the story of Moses and the Israelites, whether it's the story of Daniel and the lion's den, our pastors and leaders would preach and teach those things and apply them to where we were, which to this day, still in gospel music, you'll still hear some of those things, not quite as much. What I mean by that, we're singing about Zion, singing about Jerusalem, right? That's more of a church thing that has nothing to do with ethnicity, right? The church, as a musician, I can tell you that whole anthology in terms of music, the spirituals and the hymns and those types of things, that there's a different type of theology that is expressed throughout the life of the church. And the Black church has generally had a huge role when it comes to not just in terms of gospel music, rock, jazz, virtually every form of American music took its cue from what was the rhythm and blues or the soul or the particularly when it comes to the Negro spirituals. There's always this fusion of different styles that would always find its roots back to where Black music was concerned, right? That's still the case, right? So all those things are true. So when I talk to the Black pastors, it's not as if we're not speaking to any of the pastors and leaders, right? As a matter of fact, the event that we're coming up on tomorrow, which I'll say some more about that tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern, and Miss Producer, you can go ahead and put that graphic up there if you have that. We are having every third Tuesday of the month, 8 p.m. Eastern, we have what's called the IBSI Pastors Presents. Tomorrow is the next one, which is the 19th of March. It's entitled The Spiritual Battle for Black America, Unpacking Louis Farrakhan's Latest Attack on Israel, Tuesday, March 19th, 8 p.m. If you want to register for that, this will not be live, will not be streamed. But for you pastors and leaders or others who are interested, you have to just go to ibsi.org/dates. You'll see the link on there. Go ahead and register for that. Some of our events, this one's got over 80 people that have already RSVP'd for this event. Some are pastors, some are not. Some are from the African American community, from the Jewish community. There's different ones because we don't section it off. When we do an event, even if it's specifically for pastors or we're dealing with specific Black themes, we open those events up so that people can come and see and listen. There's nothing secretive going on, right? We're talking about some things you may have not heard of before, but you're more than welcome to check it out. There's no secret meetings happening right here. We just have specific themes that we deal with. Here, in dealing with this specific one and dealing with Black pastors, and we're talking about that one of the things that we do with IBSI is we attempt to equip those Black leaders, right? And all these, now I'm talking about church specifically, right? In the Christian church, around the issues of Israel. Again, we're not a Christian organization, but we'll deal with biblical themes. We'll deal with geopolitical themes, right? Because there's so much disinformation that's out there that much of what we wind up doing is kind of unraveling some stuff and giving real solid information. When it comes to that Black part of it, we said this before in the book as well, arguably no other ethnic group has been more targeted, more focused on by anti-Israel, anti-Semitic, anti-Zionist forces and rhetoric and propaganda than the Black American community. That's just, I mean, I can say that as an opinion, but it's based on all the evidence that we can glean back from the late 1960s. You're talking about we're approaching 60 years of a campaign to not just target Black leaders, but to exploit the Black community and make people think that Black folks are against Israel. Now, here's the thing. I said this in a tweet the other day. With all of that effort, the PLO, which was started by the KGB, and I didn't bring the graphic this time and everything, but you'll see to this day, Hamas leaders standing there giving a speech. I shared this picture before with Black pastors before, and the big old giant banner behind them. And on that banner are three different civil rights leaders. One is Mahatma Gandhi, of Indian descent, obviously Indian. And the other two are Nelson Mandela and Dr. Martin Luther King. Why is Hamas standing there making a speech? Hamas, a terrorist organization dedicated to the slaughter of Jews and the destruction of Israel, who kills its own people. Why do they have civil rights leaders or human rights advocates historically behind them in a huge banner, two of which are Black? Why has that always been the case? Why? Because, among other things, in targeting Black leaders and attempting to use them to sell a genocidal move, you'll package that genocidal move as a move for justice. You following me here? This is why you hear stuff like resistance is justified when people are occupied. Sounds good, but it's a bunch of nonsense. who's occupying Gaza. It was Hamas until IDF is now in there eliminating Hamas because of the October the 7th massacre. Hamas has ruled Gaza with an iron fist since 2007. Hamas leaders are wealthy. The top 3 Hamas leaders themselves, according to different sources, just media sources, not Jewish sources, just media sources, are worth some $11 billion combined, right? So the oppression is clearly not happening to Hamas. The oppression is happening to the people by Hamas, by the PLO, and this has been going on for decades. And why do so many people not understand that? Because they have been led to believe that Hamas are freedom fighters, like the Black Panthers, right? Like the NAACP, right? Like they've been led to believe that Hamas is some sort of lobbying group that just had some real grievances and were frustrated, and that's why they broke through. That's a lie. It's a lie. Hamas cares nothing about the Palestinian people. It just wants to slaughter Jews. When you compare Hamas to Black civil rights leaders, you are not only being ignorant, you are offending Black folks who really know their history, right? But this has been going on for decades. What that also means is that if the anti-Israel, anti-Semitic forces keep telling you that Black folks stand with Israel, Black folks stand with Palestine, Black, if you really Black, if they keep saying it over and over again, one of the ways that someone tells you about their insecurity and their lack of messaging is that they have to keep repeating it. I mean, seriously, for all of them, whether it's CARE, whether it's Hamas, the PLO, Students for Justice in Palestine, and all these other, I'm not even naming them names and giving anymore, all these folks, these things they know what they're talking about. They get on their little YouTube pages and they did all their little stuff, and all Black folks this and Black folks that. If it's true, right? Let's just be real. If it's true that Black folks stand as if we're a monolith, we don't have a multiple opinions, right? We just have this kind of hive mind, right? If it's true that Black folks stand with Palestine, why you gotta keep saying it over and over again? All you athletes in the house, that's what I'm talking about, right? The one out there talking smack, right, is not always the mic. Michael Jordan can talk smack, but he also knew how to just destroy you. As a matter of fact, you say too much stuff to him, he'll destroy you, because usually the one who keeps running their mouth don't got that much game. Oh, with little kids on the playground before things got crazy, and these kids are they're just so broken in so many different ways. But when it was just a fight, remember back in the day, if you're my age, it was just a fight, right? The one who could really fight just would fight and kick your butt. The one who couldn't fight, you know what? Can I be real for a minute? I love dogs. I don't like toy dogs. I don't dislike. Well, I do dislike them. And for those of you who have toy dogs, don't be offended. This is me. I grew up around them and everything and stuff. And I like animals. I really do. I had cats and everything. I like me and the big dogs. That's just me. Some people like small dogs. That's cool. I don't. And I really don't like chihuahuas. For me, the stereotype about is that they always run in their mouth, right? So they always barking. Somebody going down the street, they barking at the kid on the bike, they barking at the car, they bark. That's how letting you know he's all of 20 pounds soaking, not 15 pounds soaking wet, right? The Rottweiler, the Doberman Pinscher, the Pit Bull, they don't bark a lot, but you don't mess with them, right? Unless you're crazy, right? So what happens is the Black folks, that's the Chihuahua. What if Black folks stand with Palestine, why you gotta keep saying it? I'm answering my own question, because it's not true. Are there Black folks? There's been a Black for Palestine movement since the 60s, absolutely. But there's also been this huge support for Israel in the Black community, has always been the case. So, not gonna do it all here. If you want to come part of the event, you can. But I want to share something with you. The event that we're doing tomorrow, the Spiritual Battle for America, Black America, unpacking Louis Farrakhan's latest attack on Israel. Even though Louis Farrakhan is in the title, and we are definitely going to be looking at that 3.5 hours, we're not going to do 3.5, I guarantee you. A couple of little clips from the event, the Savior's Day speech that he gave last month. There's a couple of clips that I'll show. I'm getting ready to show one in a second, but I'm going to set it up first. Last week, and it's also on our pages. If you last week's forum, right? And this is the Institute for Black Solidarity with Israel, Forum on Israel, Africa, and Black America. I'm Dumisada Washington, founder and CEO. Wherever platform you're watching this on, thank you so much for coming. Every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern, we come here and we hold this forum. And then also, if you're on the YouTube page, if you haven't already, please like, please subscribe. As of a couple of minutes ago, we were at 996. We're almost at 1,000. Again, just a little, trying to reach that little milestone, all right? And our team is going to let us know once we reach that 1,000. I'm trying to get there, all right? So go to that YouTube page and please like and subscribe on the page, please. The clip that we shared, I think we shared it last week, Ms. Producer. We're not going to do it now, but the other one I'll share in a second. We're going to share that in a second. Was Louis Farrakhan. He was ending his long 3.5, it may be closer to 4, but it's three and some change, right? Long speech. I sat there. I nodded off a couple of times. I did, and I had to kind of, go back and just was, it's what we do. He, in this clip that we shared last week, and you can go, it's on Rumble. I don't think it's on YouTube. You go on Rumble and you just type in Louis Farrakhan Savior's Day 2024. It'll pop up. He did what we call is a false teaching. He referred to the biblical narrative of the War of Armageddon. Specifically, he didn't say Ezekiel, but he's referring to Ezekiel. And he is explaining to the thousands in the room and how people are watching online that war would see Israel removed. He implies and infers, it's a lot of deception, right? That somehow when China and Russia, North Korea, these different nations that are involved in coming against Israel, and those nations even right now, China actively coming against Israel, Iran, Russia, all of that is definitely happening, right? He's saying that when that war happens in Armageddon, which will be all over the earth, although Armageddon is Harmageddo in northern Israel, but anyway, that Israel, it will not remain in the Middle East, right? He's kind of teaching this false thing, right? We shared that before, and we're going to unpack that tomorrow. I'm not doing it now. We're going to unpack that scripture about what's going on, right? And for those who said this before, and I read about it in my book as well, why Farrakhan? He doesn't matter. Well, two things. We're not focused. We're just sharing this information that particularly will impact the Black community and sharing with everyone. But the focus isn't him or even the Nation of Islam. It's the tools that are being used. All the pastors in the house out there, but what did Paul say? For we are not ignorant of the enemy's devices. They're devices that are used against the Black community. So, and not just Black community, but to use the Black community then to trumpet this thing. Again, this is why you have anti-Israel propaganda cloaked as some sort of justice ethos, right? That came from the 60s, trying to embed this whole anti-Zionist thing within this whole, and Marxist stuff and communist stuff within the Black community to try to make it seem like it's some sort of thing, right? Some sort of thing to do, right? And I've told Black leaders and young people across the country for years now, it's our blessing and our curse, right? It's our curse in that folks will try to use it in the sense of try to manipulate us. The blessing is that they want to be you, right? What they're telling you is that we can't sell this unless we get your beautiful Black self to tote this banner. If you hold this Palestine flag, then everybody else will. That sounds Black supremacist, Pastor. I'm just being real. In all due respect to all my Asian and Latino brothers and sisters and everything, there's a reason why you don't see Asian for Palestine. It exists, but you see what I'm talking about? Hispanics for Palestine. Of course it is. Native Americans for Palestine. All those things exist. But what is the main banner? What goes on the marquee? Black for Palestine. Why? Because they trying to be Black. I want to be like, but there's a reason why. There's a reason why the NBA went international when Michael Jordan took it there. Oh, don't get me wrong. There were already Black superstars like Dr. J, dating myself, like Magic Johnson, right? But in the age now that was a little bit more internet, there was no social media, but more internet and more sharing of this information. And Michael Jordan from out here in North Carolina, this young Black man came all handsome, all the swag. And for those of you who are Michael haters, this is not about, same thing with Kobe, right? Same thing, handsome. What happened was Mike took it to a completely different level. He took the Black athlete to this superstardom stratosphere that had, goodness gracious. But why? Because of everything that he represented. So you had kids of all ethnicities who wanted to be like Mike It was magic marketing. It's the same thing with the anti-Israel movement. Can I let you learn a secret? This is why both the pro and the anti-Israel movements recruit and court Black people. We are only 12, 13, 14% of the population, right? We're larger than the Jewish population, which is 2%, but nowhere near the Hispanic population. Yet the focus still remains Black people. I'm telling you why, right? We've been doing this for a long time. Why? Because when you put a picture of a Black leader saying it, it hits different. I said this to my Jewish friend. I was having a meeting. I had a meeting with a Jewish colleague, and we were talking about some Israel stuff and everything, and they were asking me some questions and everything. And I said to them, the reason why it gut punches you when you see a Black leader say anti-Israel stuff is because of the long history between, it's a spiritual connection. And she said to me, my God, I said, if a white supremacist says all that stuff, you don't care. You don't care. He's a white supremacist. But if a Black person says all this anti-Israel, pro-Hamas, it hits you differently because there's a spiritual connection. They never thought about it before. Exactly. That's what it is. It goes deeper. It goes deeper than just rhetoric. There's something spiritual that's actually there, right? Which I'm going to unpack that when we have our event done tomorrow. But I want to show you this clip. I need to set it up. It's the ending of Louis Farrakhan's speech, in which he says specific things generationally. Miss Producer, we may not even get to our other things because this is just the most important thing, right? It's all good. He makes a few statements. Now, I'm setting it up because again, I made this statement the other day. There's virtually no ill that is plaguing American society that a healthy dose of man the hell up can't fix. In other words, you're going to hear some stuff being said. If words trigger you, because it's going to be he's not cursing and swearing, but he's going to say some and I'll unpack it, but I'm giving you this glimpse. He's going to say some things specific. Louis Farrakhan is about to say some things specifically about Black American youth, their fathers and grandfathers. He said that specifically. Accuses Israel of wanting to kill Black people. I mean, I'm not, why are you sharing the Pastor Messiah? Don't give him any. First of all, it's in you Rumble and it's got however many views. It's already out there, right? But see, what in the Institute for Black Solidarity with Israel, we don't seek to be salacious. We don't seek to be controversial, none of that stuff. But we just don't shy away from those things that are difficult or controversial, right? If we need to deal with them, we're going to deal with them, right? As effectively and prayerfully as we can. But part of the reason we're in this mess is because of the unwillingness to deal with difficult things. We're not going to touch the Black Lives Matter thing because, that's controversial. How did that work out for you? Right? Well, we're not going to deal with the whole Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar thing because, then people might call us Islamophobe. How did that work out for you? Did that stuff work out? Did it work out to leave it alone? No. To act like it's not there? No. So you might as well man up and deal with it because it's going to deal with you. So all that having been said, wait, did I see? I thought I saw another one on there. I was another Nicole. Hey, Nicole. So I saw the thing. I thought it was Nicole Bernstein, but another Nicole Anderson. I think it is. Shout out to you as well. Maria, I want you to cue that up. I want you to see this is the ending of Louis Farrakhan's Savior's Day speech last month. Go ahead, Maria.
Said that the greatest difficulty that Israel has is with young Black Americans. What does Israel have to fear about young Black Americans? Because they refuse to be controlled by the forces that control their fathers and their grandfathers. That is over. So I say to Israel, leave the Black youth alone. Don't come into our community trying to kill us. to satisfy your bloodlust. Turn my young black brothers over to the nation of Islam. We'll take them and teach them and civilize them. Thank you for listening. And may Allah bless you with a happy Savior's Day. Assalamu alaikum.
That clip was less than 2 minutes, about 1 minute and 50 seconds or something like that. And again, not gonna pack the whole thing. Why'd I play it? I want you to hear the rhetoric that's being said, but I want you to understand what's being said. Right? I told you before that if this is true, then why are you always puffing? When he referred to black Israel leaders, Judith, can't remember her last name now. She's works with the Israeli consulate, I believe, in Atlanta. And there was a meeting maybe a couple of months ago. I don't remember exactly what it was. It was a meeting with black and Jewish leaders, right? And apparently, and I don't have the transcript of the meeting. I couldn't even find the article. I just saw a little thumbnail, right? And apparently, in the meeting, I can't assume everything that happened in the meeting. I have the black and Jewish leaders in the room. And it was obviously something that was organized by the Israeli government because you had the Israeli officials that were actually there, and strengthening the same thing that IBSI does, right? Strengthening the relationship and all that kind of. Once again, here you have the Israeli government letting you know this is a priority for them, Black Americans, particularly Black young people, right? And it seemed though her comments were around Black Lives Matter and some of the negative stuff. Like I said before, we've already talked about the anti-Semitism of Black Lives Matter. We've actually put that in our it's one of our YouTube videos that we've done before, right? So she expresses her concern about I think around that some of the anti-Israel stuff within that movement and some of the young Black men and women. And they don't give any stats or anything like that, but they talk about that being their priority. They wanted to do the outreach part, right? Them wanting to connect again, particularly this younger generation, that type of thing, right? Louis Farrakhan takes that statement, right? So now he's talking to Israelis, or obviously you're dealing with those who are doing Israel advocacy, right? And he accuses Israel of wanting to go into Black communities and slaughter Black people. Did what he said to sort of satisfy your bloodlust, right? Again, a blood libel. How he went from Israel reaching out to Black young people to Israel wanting to go and kill Black young people. What, right? He's doing that to rile up the people listening to him. Nothing that he said about that is true. There's no evidence of that whatsoever, right? There's none that Israel is coordinating something to kill Black young people in their communities or anywhere else for that matter, right? But that's the tactic that he uses. But beyond that, I'm not going to deal with that one. He says he's saying to the Israeli government, he said to the Israeli officials, the reason why you're having problems with Black youth, he said, the reason why that's your biggest difficulty, he says, is because they refuse to be controlled, he said, his words, by the forces, meaning the pro-Israel Zionist insert forces, right? Because he's talking to Israelis, right? Israeli officials. Black young people refuse to be controlled by the forces that controlled their fathers and their grandfathers. Now, if you understand what he's saying in context, he has already gone through scripture and both the prophets and in the law just completely twisted all kinds of stuff around, right? So why? Because he's going to Christians, particularly now attacking older Christians, pastors, leaders, bishops, elders, and he's telling the young people, don't listen to them. Are you following me here at all? Right? Don't listen to your elders, the exact opposite of what the word of God says. Don't listen to your pastors. Don't listen to your fathers and grandfathers. So I'll tell this story in the thing. I'll give you one little thing. Won't cost you now. Nothing costs you. The actual event is free. You can just sign up for it if you want to go. My wife tells the story often about when Israel as a nation first came on her radar as a little girl. I figure that, and I've known the story for a long time. Her grandfather was a pastor. As a matter of fact, my wife and I, we've known each other all our lives. We met when we were 5 years old, went to the same church, went to the same elementary school, and cue the all. That's why we know each other all our lives. And yes, I was stupid in love when I first met her. No joke, no joke. Cue me. I saw her. I was 5 years old. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know what marriage or nothing like that. All I knew is that, yep, Bam, that's the one right there. She couldn't stand me. That's a whole nother long story, right? But her grandfather was the associate pastor of our church, Greater Faith Baptist Church, 345 West Worth Street, Stockton, California, right? I moved from San Francisco to Stockton when I was 5 years old, little kid, youngest of 7 kids. We came in there deep up in the church, and we was up there a long time, played music and all that stuff. And Reverend Carter was the associate pastor. He would preach every once in a while because in that church tradition, the senior pastor, he would be the person who preached most of the time. Every once in a while, Reverend Carter would preach. Now, I was too young. I don't remember the sermons per se, but my wife, that was her grandfather, her gramps, she remembers a lot of what he would discuss. Other ministers would come by their house. She would go and visit him in their house, she and her gramps and her Grammy, and they'd hang out and everything like that. And other ministers would come by, and different deacons, they have different Bible studies and different discussions in the word. And what she remembered is that he was often talking about the prophets, often rooted in the Old Testament. He had a very kind of a very Hebrew roots. He wasn't messianic in that sense, right? And not to our knowledge. He didn't keep kosher or keep the Shabbat or anything like that. But he had a real healthy respect for the prophets, which is nothing new in terms of old black church, which is why, again, Negro spirituals, all that other kind of stuff, there's always this veneration of Moses, of Elijah, of Jeremiah, right? There was this understanding that their faith in Jesus was built on the Tanakh, was built on the Old Testament. That's why we sung songs about Zion and Jerusalem all the time. So she remembers very vividly that one night they were there playing. The kids, she and her cousins running around, and her grandfather, her gramps, was in the kitchen having a very, very intense discussion with the other adults. And as she was passing through the kitchen into another room with the kids having fun, she remembers him saying something along the lines of, I tell you what, we must stand with Israel. If we don't stand with Israel, if we don't bless Israel, he's basing on scripture and what was going on. I deduced that the intensity of it. I said, you know what? Were you around 7, 8, 9? Or so she said, probably. So because my wife, we're both 57. She was born in 66. I was born in 67, just a few months. I'm the younger one in the relationship. Few months. She was born in September 66. So the Yom Kippur War, my wife would have been 7 years old, right? I said, were you around 66, 1973, right? She said, I may have been. I said, I wonder if they were intensely discussing that because it was a controversial thing, even in Africa, right? Africa was being told by the Arab powers that Israel was attempting to destroy Arabs. All that propaganda was going on directed at Africa and directed at Black Americans. It wasn't Israel defending itself, right? It was Israel trying to imperialism. That's how you know the lies, right? If Israel, I told my Jewish friends all the time, my Israeli friends, you're all the worst imperialists I ever met. By now, from 1948 to now, you should own half that side of the world. Nope, one Jewish state, tiny sliver of land, Arab states everywhere. Another conversation for another day, right? So when she shared that, she said, to this day, 57 years old, about 50 years ago, what was lodged in her heart at first as a young kid before she could understand geopolitics and all type of things was her gramps who she adored. She loved her father, right? And the gramps was this just the elder of her tribe. He brought this to her at a young age. This is true for many Black Christians. 'Tis the old ship of Zion, get on board. Even if there's not an unpacking of the geopolitical reality, we didn't play with the word. Jesus was not a Palestinian, you idiot. Jesus was a Jew. We had no problem with any of that, right? So when Farrakhan says that the young Black youth will not be controlled by the forces that controlled their fathers and their grandfathers, yes, he's coming against my wife's grandfather. He's coming against the Dr. Kings. He's coming against the A. Philip Randolphs. He's coming against those Black leaders who had a support for Israel and also talked about the fair treatment of the Arabs. It was always the case politically. They always did that. He's attempting to do this kind of mental jujitsu to make Black young people think that any type of affinity you have for Israel is because your fathers and grandfathers were controlled by forces. A lie, but a strategic lie that attempts to sever a young person from the elders of their community. He later on says, turn them over to the Nation of Islam and we'll take them and we'll civilize them, which is, again, we'll talk about that a little bit later on as well. I spent time unpacking that for this reason. The reason why we have named the event for tomorrow the spiritual battle for Black America is because that's exactly what it is. To go to the Hebrew prophets and twist their words around, to go to the legacy of fathers and grandfathers who passed down a praying for the peace of Jerusalem and all those things in the Black community, and then tell them that that's a controlling what forces, some sort of Zionist control. You're implying that there's something evil about a parent or grandparent teaching their child to, the word of God says, I'll bless those who bless you. The word of God says, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. It's as if because again, he already marred the scriptures. He already did that, right? And again, not about Farrakhan. We're talking about the device. You're trying to almost seduce these young people into thinking that hatred for Israel, I'll say this last thing, I'm about to be done. And all this negative Israel stuff ain't helping the Palestinians at all. That's the other part of it. Not only are you trying to come against the scripture, now you're trying to come against their families and everything. Here's the thing. How has that free Palestine, Black for Palestine, what has it done for the people of Gaza? What has it done for the Arabs of the West Bank, Judea and Samaria, right? It's done a lot for Yasser Arafat, who died with billions. Khaled Mashal, Sinwar, these guys have billions, and other Hamas millionaires have millions. All you doing is playing poverty pimp for them. The mullahs of Iran, with the billions of the United States, keeps giving back to them in sanctions, relief, and everything. Absolutely, right? Israel's, the Palestinian people's real oppressors are making out like bandits. That's why they don't want the conflict to end. They don't want the end to the occupation. The occupation is paying them millions and billions of dollars. Just be real. Do you really want something to end that has you wealthy beyond your wildest dreams? If you have a conscience and a soul, you do, right? But if you don't care that other people are being destroyed so you can fly around in private jets and live in 5-star hotels in Doha, Qatar, you ain't tripping. As a matter of fact, you will fight to keep it. You will fight. You will instigate fights like October 7th. You will make sure that the battle continues on so you can cry and be the victim and still cash all that money, get all them checks. That's exactly what's going on, right? And Black leaders called that stuff out. Dr. King called for a Marshall Plan for the Arabs. He wasn't talking about money for the leaders. He was talking about for the people, because a lot of poverty in the region, right? Eldridge Cleaver, they tried to do the okie doke on him. He woke up and he saw what was actually going on. Bayard Rustin talked about what the PLO was actually doing to the people. That's the real Black legacy. Absolutely, right? Not just this blind fly an Israel flag, right? But a real rooted justice, right? Israel deserves to live in peace with its neighbors. It deserves to be able to defend itself and even secure people. But Nelson Mandela keeps on. Can I help you guys? Nelson Mandela never condemned Israel's right to exist or defend itself. He sounded like Dr. King. He says he could not imagine Israel withdrawing without secure borders. Yes, he was friends with Yasser Arafat. I said it before. Yes, he was. Yes, he was friends with PLO. Yeah, he absolutely was, right? And yes, he said that their South Africans freedom wouldn't be complete without the freedom of the Palestinians. Yes, he said all those things. And he also said that Israel has a right to defend itself. Is that amazing? Right? Somehow he did both, right? You only hear the one because of the disinformation directed at Black people. Somehow, if you're a real Mandela supporter, you're pro-Palestine. Yeah, he was in favor of the Palestinians being treated fairly, right? Fine. But he also was in favor of Israel defending itself and having secure borders. The same thing that Dr. King said, right? Yes. So the spiritual battle, which I won't go any further than that, because we'll go further about the why, because why is not always important. The why is not, sometimes the why gets you distracted, right? But in this case, the why is extremely important. And that's what we'll unpack tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, we're going to talk about the why, not just these forces that are both spiritual and in the natural coming against Black people to try to turn it, right? Turn it in terms of this anti-Israel force, right? Not just that it's happening. It has been happening for darn near 60 years. But we're going to talk about the why, right? We're going to get further into the why, right? And yes, I get very passionate about it because I love my community. Pastor, Christian, and a Black American who's very grateful for his heritage. I descended from superheroes. Our story is not so supposed to exist. 40 million souls brought across the transatlantic through the Middle Passage, many of whom died on the way. Centuries of slavery, fought for our own freedom in the Civil War, helped turn the tide of the war. We did some videos on that called the Superheroes video, talked about the Fighting 54th, just as an example, right? Had to endure the not just the horror and the violence and the bloodshed of Jim Crow and all of those things, still built Black Wall Street, still built the Tuskegee Institute, still built the Harlem Renaissance, still Buffalo Soldiers, but you name it, right? None of what my ancestors accomplished was supposed to be accomplished. Went from 0% literacy to over 50% literacy in less than 50 years after the Civil War. As Thomas Sowell has said, something economic historians say has never happened before. It was amazing, right? I know that my tradition teaches me that that happened because, as we used to sing, we come this far by faith, leaning on the Lord. We were taught that the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob would sustain us, that's why we're here, right? The Israel ethos embedded in that faith, even in that faith in Jesus, knowing he's a come see a man from Galilee. If you are sick, he'll set you free. Oh, do you know him? Absolutely. Absolutely. This is why Dr. King's out there during the civil rights movement, referring to the scriptures. Let justice roll down like water and righteousness like a mighty stream. That's Amos chapter 5, I think it is, right? So yes, all the time, right? Yes. It's such a powerful legacy that other people try to use it, right? That's how you know what you have is worth something. And let me say this to the young people real quick. The reason why you know what you have is valuable is that, among other reasons, somebody's trying to take it from you. When they're trying to speak to you, Black people are this, that don't let nobody, and at this point, it don't matter. I don't care if you're on the left side of the aisle, right side of the aisle, I don't care who you are, Christian, non-Christian. When they start trying to tell you who you are and who you're supposed to be and what you can think, what you cannot think, that person right there doesn't care anything about you. They are trying to use you. Use your voice, right? Your ancestors didn't die to give you a voice so you could give it to somebody else. That's why I have such a big mouth. Mom and Daddy taught me. And yet, again, I've ruffled feathers. I don't try to, right? Again, I don't, when you say that, Pastor Musani, it upsets people. Good. Again, I'm not trying to, just, I don't care. You don't, why you say those things? People are going to think this. One of the worst things to tell me is what people might think of me if I say X, Y, and Z. It's not being pride or arrogance. It's just that doesn't work. I'm a Washington man. If you knew who David and Lillian in Washington were, So I felt this to say it anyway, but now you're telling me that I'm going to lose what? Followers if I say you ain't said nothing but a word. Let me say it again. Let me do it this time in bold. Why? Because I have a voice, right? Right. It becomes even more important. There are harbingers that are for our nation now. We'll switch gears. In the attacks of October the 7th in Israel. A horror that our Israeli brothers and sisters are still experiencing, as there are still well over 100 hostages in Gaza. The international community talking all kind of crazy. The U.S. administration, Chuck Schumer gets up and regime, Bibi. We're not pro Bibi. We're not anti Bibi. We don't. Who the Israelis elect to run their parliament is the Israelis, right? All good, right? That's them, right? There's the most diverse coalition of the Israeli in the government in history. They tell me, right? You had everybody from the Hamas, the Mansour Abbas, his party, right? You had left, right? You have different. I mean, it was that was who Israel elected, right? They, if you notice, the Israel haters still attacked them, right? Now Bibi's and Likud's the main one in power. They're being attacked. If you follow the thing, they're being attacked either way. Hamas don't care which one's in power, right? So that's the thing. But there were harbingers that are there, ladies and gentlemen. I saw a thing that 10 toes down, Pastor Tim. See that? Don't get me started. And Pastor Hall, if you out there, I saw your note. You commented on that article, man. Bless you, Pastor Hall. Appreciate you, ma'am. I'll hook up with y'all again down there in the Atlanta area and everything. Just let me say this to Americans, Black Americans. There are some. Caroline Glick, a friend and colleague. Those of you who don't know already, she check out In Focus. She has a podcast that's on JNS. Shout out to our friends at JNS as well. I'll be honored to be with them with Jonathan Tobin in a couple of weeks. I think I'll be on the show with him. Looking forward to that. Caroline Glick, and I don't remember which episode it was. Maybe about a month after October 7th. I couldn't find the specific one. And Caroline, I'll send you this. You can help me. And we'll drop it in the link here later on the post. She talked about the intelligence failures in Israel. That there were some within the counterintelligence arena who were concerned about the chatter. They were concerned about the movement. They were concerned. And some others didn't agree, everything. This is not me attacking Israel. I'm just telling you, there was this, she put it out there. She named the different commanders and what was said. And just, it's hard, and Israelis are dealing with so many different things on this level, right? Tablet had a powerful article a couple of days ago about the emotional part of it, right? The Israelis are strong. They're just strong people, right? And are dealing with a bunch of stuff all at the same time. And I say harbinger because what happened on October 7th, all of those elements are right here in the United States of America. And our leaders are so arrogant and drunk on their own power that not only are they not checking out themselves, our nation, they wagging their tongue at Israel. Let me say this just to the Americans. Right? The word of God says in Proverbs, I believe, 16:18, pride goeth before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. Not only do American leaders not have any business or right calling for regime change in anyone's nation, especially a free and independent nation like our greatest ally in the Middle East, you need to sweep around your own front door, a little black lingo for some folks. You better check out where you are. You so busy trying to tell Israel what to do and not to do. You got Hamas and Hezbollah all over this United States of America. Do you know, I believe it was Jason Hill, Professor Jason Hill out there at DePaul University, called our universities national security threats. Absolutely spot on. I love the way he said that. Not I love it. It's a bad thing. It's a horrific thing. But it's absolutely. Do you see what's going on? That pro-Hamas crap has been going on for years. But after October the 7th, it was barely 48 hours old, and you had schools already organized using posters with the picture on, like I said before, of the paragliders that came down and slaughtered all those young people at the festival out there. Do you understand what's already here? Somebody just posted something the other day, some imam out there in Detroit, somewhere in Michigan, talking about all the Jews should die. We got Islamist preachers here preaching death to the Jews. Jews being attacked already. A couple of them already died here. So Ali's going to talk about Israel. You need Israel. You know what? No, in the United States, you need to mind your business. Yeah, I get really fired up about that. Not only are you trying to pimp my community with all of that, right? You ain't even paying attention. It was during the Christmas celebration of a Democratic organization in Detroit, right? We posted the video, right? Some Hamas supporters came out there, got into a fight with the black folks. It was a black Democratic holiday thing or whatever it was. Some of these protesters came in, stormed it, got in a fight. One of the ladies had a big old black eye and bloody nose, and they went in there trying to throw hands, right? FBI, nothing. Law enforcement, nothing. President, nothing. You ain't got up and made no speech, right? Okay. So we made a speech about Jews will not replace us, right? Absolutely. Call out all the white supremacists. What about these Hamas supporters, right? These Islamists that are actually going into black neighborhoods, putting their hands on people, right? So you're going to talk about what Israel needs to do. What you need to do, that's that black tradition. We get nice and loud about it. So not only is it inappropriate for us to tell Israel when they need to have elections, how they need to defend their people. Oh, well, you can go here, don't go there. Don't touch this. Are you serious right now? Are you serious right now? Right? You go tell Israel about how to do. And okay, let me finish this. But Pastor Demisani, that's because we have defense spending in Israel. Okay, two things. Number one, the United States government gives defense money, defense funding to many countries, not just Israel, Nigeria, Saudi Arabia. We done cut all kinds of corners to give money up to Iran, but that was their money. Whatever, man. They sitting there building nuclear weapons, talking about the United States is the great Satan, Israel's the little Satan, and we still just filling their coffers, right? So don't come at me about the money, right? If you feel you're one of those people that we shouldn't be giving foreign aid to anybody, fine. You don't feel the United States should give foreign aid to anybody, fine. But at least be real enough to not just single out the Jewish state. If the reason why you have a problem with the United States giving foreign aid, defense aid to countries is because of the Jewish state, but you ain't got nothing to say about all these other countries, use an anti-Semite. So be real. Even with the defense relationship that we have with Israel, right? For us to tell the Israelis, you know what? Our elected officials got more to say to Israel than Hamas. As my friend Lisa Daftari had said, she works for she does the foreign desk. She said we're calling for regime change in Israel, and still ain't calling for regime change in Iran. While we talk tough to our friends and we kiss our enemies on the cheek, man, that's gonna come back and bite us. So our leaders are not gleaning anything. We're not learning. Israel's on the front lines. And that's a recipe for disaster, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not being doom and gloom. I ain't prophesying nothing, none of that kind of stuff. I'm just deductive reasoning. The terrorist group that has billions of dollars that just got through slaughtering some 1,300 or abducting and slaughtering 1,300 Israelis or more. We're still figuring out stuff. Killing Jews, Christians, Muslims. They were black, they were white, they're Asian looking, they didn't care. That group hates us as much as Israel. Hates other Muslims who are not Islamists as much as Israel, right? And our schools are indoctrinating our students with this stuff, both in elementary, high school, and in college, right? We have a problem of epic proportions on our hands while we are preaching at Israel. That's just stupid. And that's where we are. I'm way over time. Well, I'm a little over time. Had other stuff we're supposed to do on today, but we won't be able to. But let me say this real quick. First of all, before we sign off, where are we on our YouTube? Producer, somebody let me know. Where is our YouTube channel? Have we got to the 1,000 mark yet? 3 left. Okay, we are at 997 subscribers on our YouTube page. Could you all please, whether you're on LinkedIn, whether you're on Facebook, Twitter, IG, go to the Institute for Black Solidarity with Israel, IBSI. Is that what it is? Put that graphic up there for me, Miss Producer, just because I make sure. Whatever it is on YouTube, go to the IBSI YouTube page. I think it's IBSI Now, IBSI-Now. Please subscribe to the page. Like a video, like this video, please, and subscribe. We are 3 away from 1,000. Just our little humble benchmark there, 1,000, right? If you could just help us out right there, like on the YouTube page so we can hit that 1,000 mark and just keep blowing past that, right? That'd be cool. I really appreciate that. Again, thank you for subscribing to our Substack as well. We was trying to, that's way well past about 1,033, maybe a little bit more by that now, hopefully. In our Substack, Africa Israel Weekly. Again, you can check out Joshua's latest, the JW show, his interview with Dr. Brandy Shufatinsky. They have a great conversation there. Looking forward to being out with them there's a whole education group thing that's happening out there in California in May. I'll tell you more about that a little bit later on as we get later on to the spring, but I'm looking forward to that as well. We'll be in New York in a couple of weeks for a special meeting pretty soon as well, with some both Israelis and Black Americans and everything. So shout out to all those people in Canada. Ashira, we got it. We are at 1,000. Much love to all of y'all. See that y'all did this. You crossed this. We crossed that finish line. We are past the 1,000 mark. On to 2,000. Right. We have 1,000. Like someone just said, Monica said 1,000. Monica, was that you? Did you just do that just now? Did you click on the 99 and 99th one and do that? Our friend Monica, she's out here in North Carolina somewhere. We met her. But yes, we're at 1,000 now. All right. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate that. Much love to all of you. Yeah. And always, I get riled up. That's just me. That's how I preach. That's how I talk all the time. Right. My family is loud. My youngest daughter just turned, well, she's 20. She'll be 24 this fall. And she's among the loudest of all of us because she just had to be. All right. Congratulations. That's what I'm talking about, Pastor Tim. Got that milestone, right? For some, it's little, but again, we don't despise the small beginnings. 1,000 subscribers on the YouTube page. Appreciate that. Again, everyone, appreciate all the love, all the support, and even the haters. You just help us do, not you guys, the haters, but the folks who are going to live with this later on. We appreciate all y'all and everything that you do to help us do what we do. This is very much a calling for us, right? This is we're in this because we really feel the pull to do it. We'll share even more with you about Black Pastors Outreach. Talk to one of the Black pastors out there in Cleveland, Ohio. We're working on some things together. Shout out to Star Parker of Urban Cure. We're working on some stuff as well to work with Black pastors specifically in different states across the country. So working on something different. Got a lot of stuff happening here. It's not all, the ink isn't dry on all of it just yet. So we'll let you guys know, but we are excited about it. Again, these are difficult times, right? There's no joke. This is a lot of serious stuff going on. Just like you heard me, all the seriousness in my voice. But again, we do it again for us. Our faith is in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We know that he's going to work everything out, right? So our job is to do our job, right? Be that light. We used to sing the song back in the day, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine, right? So sometimes you feel like there's a little pin light in the midst of a bunch of darkness. That's all right. Light cuts through darkness, right? That's what it is. So that's what we're attempting to do, right? To make sure that people are aware and see what's going on, all right? So thank you so much, everybody. Appreciate you all. We will be back, God say the same, next Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Again, for those of you who want to join the event on tomorrow, whether you are pastors, rabbis, or whoever you are, the Spiritual Battle for Black America event that we're going to be doing, just go to ibsi.org/dates. You'll see the graphic that's right there. Click on it right there so that you can RSVP, because it's going to close sometime late tomorrow afternoon. And that is tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to our staff, our producers, everybody. Shout out to Joshua and Ogo out there in South Africa. And I believe Pastor Corey Brooks is in South Africa. I'm going to get you, Pastor Corey Brooks. I didn't know you was headed out there, but I see some beautiful pictures out there in Cape Town and other places and everything. So everyone be strong. Thank you guys so much. Looking forward to seeing you all next week. Everyone take care now. Bye-bye.